want you to think back to when you were younger, and you and your family all piled into the car and went on that long-awaited summer vacation. If that vacation was anything like some of the ones I went on when I was younger, where my siblings and I fought almost all the way there, and my mother always got us lost, at least once per trip, you're going to want to listen to what I have to say. Today I want to share with you 3 key words to remember while planning a family vacation. They are preparation, organization, and flexibility. If you don't have a family or children of your own, that's okay, because these 3 words work if you're going on a trip by yourself or even with a friend. The first key word to remember while planning a family vacation is preparation. You need to, what's the first thing you need to do when you plan a vacation? Well, you have to decide where you're going to go. My husband Dan and I like to pick a couple destinations. Recently we picked Washington, D.C. Last year we picked Washington, D.C. and Walt Disney World as our 2 final choices. When you get to that point, then you have to ask yourself, can we afford to go there? If you like Dan and you get a lot of vacation, it might be better if you could drive. You can save a lot of money versus flying if you have the time to do that. The second thing you need to ask yourself is the destination age appropriate for our children? Washington, D.C. would have been less expensive for us because we could drive there in a relatively short period of time, and we could have stayed with my sister, so that would have saved on hotel costs. And most of the attractions are free in Washington to go see, but at the time our children were 3 and 5, and a 3-year-old really doesn't care if they're on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. So we decided to go to Walt Disney World. The second key word to remember when planning a family vacation is organization. After you've decided where you wanted to go, you have to pick, when do we want to go? And a good way to help you do that is to go by your local library or perhaps a favorite bookstore and research the city or area that you want to visit. Just this morning I stopped by the library in Stevenson on my way here, and I was able to pick up just a few books on different places and where you could go. And these books are great because they tell you all about hotels, good restaurants, what they serve at these restaurants. They also give you a price range of how much they cost. Another thing you could do is contact the tourist information center in that area that you're going to see. They'll send you maps and little flyers that can also be very helpful. Once you've decided when you want to go, you need to book your hotels early. You can get a lot of discounts by doing this. Also, you might want to pay for tickets, especially to theme parks, or maybe if you're going to New York, like shows in advance, because you won't run the risk of having the show sold out. And the theme parks, at least you'll avoid one line to stand in. The next thing you need to do is organize your day trips once you're on your vacation. Itinerary is not a bad word, especially if you have little children. This took some convincing to my husband because he doesn't like to plan that much, but it really helped. I picked up at our bookstore this Disney planner, and it gave a lot of neat tips in here, like if your children are ages 7 and under, you might want to rent a stroller for them. Now, our daughter was 5 and a half at the time, and we didn't think that she would need a stroller, but it saved us. If you're going to be at a theme park for 12, 14 hours, you want to make sure you push them the whole way. Another tip that it gave us was, if Mickey Mouse is who you want to see, go there first. It's all the way across the park, but you'll avoid the 2-hour lines in the afternoon. And they were right. When we got there, there was only like 2 people in front of us. So now you've prepared and organized your trip. I think the third word to remember when planning a vacation is probably one of the most important ones, and that's flexibility. Keep in mind that everything doesn't always go as planned, and a major factor when you're on vacation is the weather. If it's pouring outside, just do something indoors. Don't let it ruin your day. But flexibility can can also be a good thing because maybe there's something going on in that town that you weren't aware of, or a little side excursion that you'd like to do. Well, don't stay so rigid to your plans that you're going to miss an opportunity. This also happened to us on our way back from Daytona Beach. I noticed we were going right by St. Augustine, Florida, which is the oldest city in the United States. And since I'm a history major, that was like too good to pass up. So I talked my husband into going there for a couple hours. And we got to see the oldest house in the country and have a little picnic by the fort and stuff. And, you know, that would have been too good to just go by it just because we had to be on a rigid schedule. It did put us behind a little bit, but he got over it. Let me end by reminding you that if you prepare, organize, and be flexible, if you remember to do all these things, your vacation will be one to remember.
Sweltering with the heat of oppression, be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
After the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on April 4, 1968, an article in the Negro History Bulletin by Benjamin Quarles stated, "Martin Luther King is destined to take root in the historic memory. He has the imperishable quality of the truly great." Indeed, he has taken his part in history. Not only has the leader of the nonviolent protest movement for civil rights, but also as one of the finest public speakers in American history. I've researched the 1960s, the civil rights movement, and primarily Martin Luther King Jr. for almost a year. Now, my love for history might not be as widespread among all of you. So today I want to focus on 3 factors: education, passion for his cause, and charisma, that when multiplied made Dr. King a great public speaker. First, education was a key factor into King's speaking ability. According to an article in the May '68 issue of Ebony magazine, King grew up better than most others of his race. He was the son and grandson of ministers in Atlanta, Georgia, and learning to preach was something that was handed down from generation to generation in his family. He was also privileged when it came to education. He graduated from Morehouse College at the age of 19 with a bachelor's degree. By age 27, he had already earned 2 PhDs, including one from Boston University. He also held a degree from Crozer Theological Seminary. Through his education, he developed into a skillful writer. And being able to write a great speech is the beginning of being able to deliver a great speech. So as you can see, education was very important to Dr. King. The second factor that led to Dr. King's success as a public speaker was that he was passionate for his cause. He could have led a very comfortable life, but he gave up his personal dream of being a university professor to drive the civil rights movement forward. He believed his people had to push for fulfillment of the constitutional edict that all men are created equal. In 1964, at age 35, he was the youngest ever to win the Nobel Peace Prize. He accepted the award, but not as an honor to himself, but to those who continued to fight. He donated his purse, $54,600, to the civil rights movement. To me, this showed that he was a kind and generous man, and that he truly believed in his cause. Finally, King possessed charisma. He had a personal appeal to fascinate and to attract others. This is a great gift when you are in the public eye. He spoke to one's conscience, and his message commanded attention because he was a master communicator. He'd grab a hold of your heart and not let go until your head agreed with him. He had a way of letting everyone know that oppressed people could not remain oppressed forever. When he spoke, people would take notice. He almost always left them wanting to hear more. He was able to move and motivate individuals, not only his own people, but he was a major contributor to gaining support, white support in the North. His speeches were unforgettable. You may not have remembered his exact words, but his message was clear. In his I Have a Dream speech that was delivered on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., that we just saw an excerpt from, his message was very clear. He dreamed of a society where race was not an issue. In closing, I want to say, like Martin Luther King Jr., who used his education, his passion for his cause, and a certain amount of charisma, you too can take those three factors, multiply them, and become a fine public speaker.